I received a call that I did not expect and was asked to join the Bush-Cheney campaign. At that point, I was married to the love of my life, Jenny. We had 2 boys, ages 1 and 3, and as you will see in my memoir, we drove our Dodge Caravan to Austin, Texas, where for the first 2 weeks it was 112 degrees. Everything was brown and they were in a drought, and I thought about 9 times a day, what have I done? But you will also find in the Christian life that everything that you think is the thing is really only a preparation for the thing. And so we got to Austin, Texas, living in our walk-up 2-bedroom apartment with day laborers who smoked pot every night. We're quite certain they didn't know the meaning of underarm deodorant. And we thought, what have we done? Some of you may remember the 2000 almost election. 2000 was the election, if you don't know, where no one won. My 3-year-old asked me point blank the day after the election, "Daddy, why didn't anyone win?" And those words still haunt me. I was asked 3 days later to pack a suitcase that I would be going to Florida to spend 3 or 4 days there. I flew away and didn't come back for 32 days. Bush v. Gore, as some of you know, was settled in the Supreme Court in the most high-profile and most contentious presidential election in American history. I lived in 9 cities over all those weeks. A big night of sleep was 3.5 hours. We were given 1 day off. I went to Epcot. It was rather surreal. I thought, why are all these people having fun? Don't they know that we have a presidential election to win or lose? Finally, George W. Bush did win, and I was offered a gigantic title. I was offered the title Special Assistant to the President and the Deputy Director of the White House Office of Public Liaison. That's a fancy way of saying that I was the President's chief outreach person to all my fellow Christians and conservatives, a commissioned officer to the President with an office in the White House. If some of you know who Karl Rove is, I was his deputy. I was off on a remarkable journey for someone whose grandfather had come from Macedonia and was illiterate and innumerate, somebody born at 6914 Autumn View Drive to 2 people who were the most extraordinary people in the entire world who never went to college. My father was a painting contractor and my best friend. 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue is a long way from Autumn View Drive in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And I can tell you that if I were to speak to you for the next 9 hours, I could wrap it all up in a bow and you would think, boy, that's an American story. Except for the fact in the way that you receive Christmas letters every Christmas from people whose entire year has been one mountaintop after the other. You know who those people are. Nothing bad ever happens in their life. Susie is sewing her own clothes. Bobby has memorized all the books of the Bible and can recite them backwards. All their kids scale tall buildings in a single bound. You know these people. Right. The fact of the matter is that the man who's talking to you today is a poor, miserable sinner. In fact, I was a fool. And I'd like to share that with you. A true fool. In Washington, D.C., in Manitou Springs, in Timbuktu, there is a poison, and it's called pride. If you forget everything that I have ever told you, please learn from my example. Because in Washington, pride often takes one of 3 routes: sex, power, or money. It's otherwise known as Potomac fever. Let me give you the best possible illustration. One of my very dear friends, now deceased, was a very famous conservative called William F. Buckley, Jr. He's the man who taught me to sail. He once said to me, you know, it's a remarkable thing to go into the Oval Office, as I often did, and to know that the leader of the free world is taking notes while you're speaking. Wow. That's a big deal. In politics, that's the equivalent of winning a gold medal. You have arrived, and it's all about you. Because in all those years that I was living this remarkable life, happily married, father of 2 boys, a Washington resume, which I say from humility was a wonderful thing, I had been writing a column for my hometown newspaper, but never about politics. I wrote about all the other things that interested me. Art and music, philosophy and theology, all the things of life. There's always baseball, the Chicago Cubs. Another passion of mine. We don't know what the playoffs of the World Series are because we're in the 115th year of our rebuilding effort. I always wanted to be the clever one, the one who wrote it better than anybody else. By the way, the one thing that people of Pride have in common, the one thing, is deception. Anybody here ever been to a wax museum? That's how people of Pride are. They always have the right smile, the right stance, the right thing. They're never wrong. That's what Pride had done to me. And so I wanted to write not just a really good column, I wanted everyone to be like Cicero. And so I began plagiarizing some of my columns. Now, I'd like to stand before all of you and tell you that it was because I was under pressure and under stress, and there were 14 extenuating circumstances, but that was not the case. I knew exactly what I was doing, and I did it anyway. Over and over and over again. And one day, I came back from a breakfast at the White House, and I popped open my email, and a reporter said to me by email, "I think you have plagiarized this column. Is it true?" And I promise you, just like this, I fell down next to my desk at the White House and I prayed the following: "Oh God, because it was true."